Tonight on News 5 Live, hundreds converge at the political office of Lake Eye UDP standard bearer Diane Finnegan for assistance with the processing of their immigration documents. Two suspects, including a minor, are charged for the murder of the Mexican caretaker. A land dispute between a husband and wife. And the nursing task force says the Ministry of Health and Public Services have not acted in good faith on a number of issues. Details of these stories and more coming up in tonight's newscast. Good evening. Welcome to News 5 Live for Thursday, January 9th. I am Marlene Cuellar. Long lines of persons queued up at the office of the UDP Lake Independent Standard Bearer, Diane Finnegan, since early this morning and on Wednesday, though the main office of the Immigration Department is a stone's throw away. Admittedly, the persons say they're getting assistance to get their immigration papers in order to acquire nationality. All this ahead of a scheduled meeting with the Minister of Immigration next week. Now, the issue of irregularities and illegalities in the system pushed by political operatives are well known and documented. So with elections to be called sometime this year, the lines sent alarm bells ringing. Here's News 5's Dwayne Moody with this report.
For the past 2 days, hundreds of migrants, primarily Hispanics from Central American countries, converged on Partridge Street in Belize City at the office of UDP Lake Independent Standard Bearer Diane Finnegan. The line snaked along the sidewalk for almost a block, most with manila envelopes in hand, carrying nationality applications, photocopies of birth certificates and passports. Some even brandished passport-sized photographs of themselves and their family, processed at a nearby photo lab, free of cost, before their documents are collated inside the political office of the Standard Bearer. Reminiscent of the illegal processing of migrants back in 2012, Finnegan says it is quite the opposite.
Over the weekend, I was in the Holy Emmanuel area, and some of the residents approached me about, one, the length of time that it has been going on for them to get their papers. Some of them have been living in Belize for many, many years, but I guess when they go to the offices, it's so challenging for them, one, because they speak only Spanish, and two, nobody's giving them the necessary information on what direction they need to take in order to get their papers processed. I have no knowledge of how that is done.
According to several migrants we spoke with, they have been living in Belize for over a decade and have Belizean-born children. They are taking advantage of the opportunity to get their immigration status regularized.
Inside here, I apply for nationality. Long time I applied for nationality for 2015 and nothing not coming yet. So I will try. If something happen, I got my data right here, Belize. Yeah, I got my life right here. So.
How long have you been living here in Belize?
13 years.
Yo necesito tener nacionalidad.
I want to have nationality, and I have a piece of property to the back, and I want them to give me land papers. I also have 2 Belizean daughters as well. They're treating us well. I've never voted, but if they give me my nationality, I will definitely vote.
But it appears that migrants from across the country got word of the invitation by Finnegan, and they too came to the office. So why deliver your documents to a constituency office and not the Immigration Department located at the Charles Bartlett Hyde building, or for that matter, at offices within each municipality? According to Finnegan, on Monday, a meeting will be held with Minister of State for Immigration, Beverly Williams, at the Swift Hall, where these persons will be able to share their concerns.
I can't process nobody's papers, Vaughn. No, I have not mentioned to anybody that I'm processing their papers. They are here to get information, to meet with the minister on Monday. She's the only person who can tell them how to go about getting their papers. Please don't turn this into a political thing.
A meeting with the minister has been organized for Monday. So what services are being provided to these persons today?
None.
So why are they here?
The only reason they're there, some of them brought their documents, and there are a lot of them who already have their residency. Some of them have their receipts for their nationality, but it has taken such a long time. If you can help them to speed up the process to get their documents, why not?
While Finnegan says that it is not of a political nature, it is known that if these migrants receive their nationality certificates prior to the general elections, they become eligible to register as voters. When we spoke with PUP Chairman Henry Charles Usher today, he says that the actions are concerning. Minister Beverly Williams conceded that it is part of a wider system to garner supporters come election day. Is it a tactic being used to, hey, we're helping you now, help us when general elections. Mind you, there's one upcoming.
So why you think I'm sitting here? If I'm providing a service, I can't force anybody to vote for me. But you're hoping and genuinely providing service to people in need, that people would say, well, I was, thankful, and I see that I've had some improvement, but you don't know if they will vote for you. However, as I said, we're not fast-tracking anything. I don't believe that Ms. Finnegan would be able to do anything with those. Maybe she is collecting, so it's an easier way for us to review. In advising, we would look at those documents and advise. There will be nothing official issued at Swift Hall. It cannot be when it has to be processed in the computer. Some of those things go before a committee. Remember, we have these committees. I always say immigration is a department of committees. The scrutinizing committee, the visa vetting committee, all of those go through a proper process before it comes to me for signatures.
Dwayne Moody for News 5.
What are the events in the past 2 days an indictment on the Immigration Department where the processing is to take place? Minister of State for Immigration Beverly Williams says that the meeting on Monday was a forward-thinking initiative to address the congestion at the department in regularizing migrants.
I would venture for us to take a census of the number of people. You know that our borders are very, very porous. And border management and border security is a big thing for us, but it's difficult in a country like Belize, where we're surrounded by Central American countries who are looking for a better way of life. We know they're economic migrants, and we know they come here. You find them, you put them across the border, they're back. You find them, you put them across they're back. And so we're trying to ensure we use the rules, use the laws to deal with those. But there are people here who came here, who from they were at birth. They've been here. People who have acquired that status and did not know from 1981 and have been living in this country. And that is why you have these remote villages popping up all over the place, a Spanish town here, a Spanish town there, because coming from Central America, those are the people coming in. But I believe we have an obligation to national security, to proper border management, but we also have an obligation to those people to regularize them. When we do that, we improve the way of life for all persons living in Belize. I thought it was a worthy request. We are very proud of, and we think it is flagship for us in the UDP and of course in public service when we saw the Honorable Ugo Pat with his mobile unit. Immigration does have a mobile unit, but as you may know, we have an aging system and we don't want to have any problems because we could have emulated that, but that is only for passports. Now, if we sit with these people, explain to them that immigration does not have a big stick approach. We're not coming to get you. We really want to help you if you're already embedded in our society. You're already here contributing in some way or the other. Let's try and make it more positive so that you can remain in country and participate. Those that do not qualify will then be asked to leave. And I think people are afraid of us because everybody who comes to immigration who have not regularized their status think that we're there to catch a moment. That's not what it's about, because there are many issues happening with families where they have children that were born here. They've been here for long periods of time, and so we are doing a regularization process. So rather than having congestion in Belmopan, I thought it was a noble idea for her to have us sit and speak to them.
From immigration to health, where trouble is also brewing. The Nurses Task Force today fired off a one-page press statement calling out the Ministries of Health and Public Services for acting in bad faith. The release says that the Nursing Task Force met to follow up on recommendations made by the ministries to address issues affecting the nursing profession. According to the president of the Nurses Association of Belize, Darrell Spencer, despite efforts, the ministries have failed to respond to these pressing matters in a timely and efficient manner.
We said bad faith as the choice of words there because we have been going through now with meetings and letters to the different ministries concerned for the better part of 4 months now, and we have not been seeing the results that we have requested from the inception of these talks. Also that during one of the meetings, there were certain promises made, and up to today, nothing has been done to the fulfillment of these promises. As a matter of fact, the situation even got worse, where away and apart from what we were promised, something towards more the opposite actually was final. And these are the things that we want to renegotiate, get clarified, and so that the ministries can make good on their promises.
The Nurses Association of Belize wants 5 issues addressed with urgency and effectiveness. These issues, according to Spencer, include the urgent filling of the post for Deputy Director Health Services, Chief Nursing Officer, Assistant Deputy Director of Health Services, Chief Nurse, and the post of the Registrar. Spencer says that a nurse should be included on the selection panel in the recruitment of nurses. The task force is also demanding that the present Acting Deputy Director of Health Services and Chief Nursing Officer is retained for a suitable period of not less than 6 months after the appointment of the newly selected person to that office to ensure a smooth transition.
We discussed rather that that person be held on for months, at least 6 months after the office is filled by whatever selection or appointment by the ministry. That is their call to make, whether it's an appointment or a selection. But we would like to have a proper transition. An important office such as the Deputy Director of Health Services, Chief Nurse, should not have a transition of a week or 2. So we want things like this to make sure that these things, there is proper handing over.
On Sunday,
in a previous meeting, we were given to that idea that, okay, the person who is presently in the office will be held on, to find out of recently that the person will be there for a week after they get a person. That is a disrespect to nurses. How can I hand over the key nursing seat in the country to a newcomer, a new personnel that has not have that time in the office to recognize all of the responsibilities? How can you then hand that over in a week?
And you're also asking for nurses to sit on that panel to participate in the recruitment process?
Of course. If I want a good journalist, I would hope that I have somebody knowledgeable in journalism to be on the panel. We are selecting a nurse. We are selecting a chief nurse for the country. And I do not understand how can you have then not even one person on that panel with any idea of what a nurse actually does.
The task force is also asking the ministries to address the critical issue of a shortage of nurses that is negatively affecting the delivery of quality healthcare services to the people. Spencer says that these issues need to be addressed to enhance the nursing profession in Belize.
Nursing basically has been in constant degradation over some years now. So what we're trying to do is to resolve some of these issues. Notably, our priority at this point in time is to get the persons that are qualified and available to fill the key positions in nursing, so that we can now start to get more towards the advancement of nursing and nurses in Belize. We are losing staff hand over fist. We are at a very critical point when it comes to the amount of personnel on the ward giving patient care. All of these things affect the quality of care that any one person can give. Now to go to where, apart from the staff on the ward, we're at a point where not even in the offices, the key strategic personnel in the country, we're running short of them also. And for these offices to be abolished or phased out, it only takes away from what will happen to nursing in Belize.
The Nursing Task Force is calling on the respective ministries to respond in writing to all correspondences sent within the next 5 days to avoid escalation of tension with the nursing community.
All this distraction we can do without. We are already short. Do we need other things to distract us? Do we need to start an industrial action? Do we need to even go to 2 more meetings?
At what point would the camel's back break?
I am not going to be the one to call that shot. I am the president of the Nurses Association. We have an executive, we have an order in which we have to do things, and we will respect that order. So from here is to take it back to our different members and stakeholders, and then we will get guidance from them as to what should be the next step and how far are we supposed to go.
Okay, so in terms of the association or the council, how many nurses do you guys represent in terms of power?
Well, I'll tell you, there's over 1,000 nurses in this country. The statistics says the health team is comprised of about 86% nurses. That's a lot of power if you would ask me.
A duo, including a minor, is in custody and is expected to be charged for the heinous murder of a Mexican caretaker. Gabriel Alejandro Guzman Cruz died a horrible death. He was chopped and stabbed, and a mattress inside the property was set on fire. He managed to roll out of the house, but succumbed. Police acted quickly, and aside from the arrests, a number of stolen items have been recovered. 3 persons are in detention for that crime. News 5's Sani Caetano reports.
A pair of men, presumably siblings, carried out a bloody assault on a property just outside of Placencia on Tuesday afternoon, leaving a 46-year-old Mexican caretaker dead. Gabriel Alejandro Guzman Cruz was inside the upper flat of Hannah's Paradise when he was confronted by 2 men who proceeded to inflict extreme pain on him while in the act of robbing the property. Both suspects are in police custody and charges are expected to be levied on them.
Reference the murder in Placencia, police have detained 2 persons who are presently in custody, and I spoke to the commander on that side, and he had commented that one of the persons will definitely be charged today, and the other one, depending on the outcome of the investigation, then we will see if that person will be charged or not.
Sometime around 3 o'clock on January 7th, police responded to the location where a report had been made that someone had been severely injured. When they arrived on the scene, the officers observed Guzman Cruz clad in a black shirt and red shorts at the base of a stairway. He had been chopped, stabbed, and set on fire by his attackers.
Know if he was ever under surveillance, maybe, or these persons are known to him?
Well, we believe that they are known to him. Yes.
So they would have known maybe what was in the house?
I think so, yes.
When asked today whether he was able to provide additional details on the items that were stolen from Hannah's Paradise, Superintendent Alejandro Cowo was guarded in his response.
So are we able to say what items were taken from the house, from the property?
I cannot go in depth in regards to the items that were stolen. I know there were a few items, but I cannot tell you exactly what are those items.
Are we able to say those items belong to the victim, or were those items that maybe were part of the property that he was taking care of?
Well, I believe they are property of the victim.
Those items, nonetheless, were later found at a residence in St. Bite Village. Detained in connection with the discovery of the stolen belongings are Marcelo and Deandre Guerrero and Anita Augustin. Police in Placencia, armed with a warrant, effected a search of rooms and were successful in finding what they were looking for.
Well, I surely believe that the police that are posted at those locations there, they know who are the persons. Hence the reason they went ahead and they conducted a search at this residence day before yesterday, where they found some of the belongings and the 2 suspects were detained.
Reporting for News 5, I'm Sani Caetano.
24 hours after the prices for kerosene and diesel went up by 26 and 23 cents per gallon, government today announced another price hike. At midnight, the pump price for regular gasoline will spike by 22 cents to $10.28 per gallon. Only premium gasoline has not been affected so far this week, But for how long, that's anyone's guess, as the situation in the Middle East remains uncertain. Coming up, a husband and wife battling over a piece of land. The wife says she is resisting its sale from under her feet.
On Sunday, February 9th, UDP delegates will convene to elect new leaders for various positions in the party. This includes
Tonight we bring you the story of Anita Beatrice Bilal. The 57-year-old Belize City resident survived a house fire and stage 2 cervical cancer, and she's battling her husband's plan to sell the property that they have been living on for more than 2 decades. Bilal is legally married, but separated from her spouse. She's claiming marital rights over the property and managed to put a caution on the land in 2017. But her concerns are growing since moves are being made once again to sell the property from under her feet. Hippolyta Novello has this story.
57-year-old Belize City resident Anita Bilal has been living on this particular piece of land for more than 25 years. The land is shared between Bilal and her husband. They are legally married but have been separated for the past 5 years. Bilal, a cancer survivor, has been battling her husband's desire to sell the land since 2017, when a neighbor wrote a check for $20,000.
I refused the check. That check stayed until 2017. That check stayed in 2017. The check was in the attorney office drawer. I went to Guatemala, get everything, thank God. I have to reactivate the check for 2018 and say, no. When you got cancer, mister, you can't think correct. That people have to guide you because you got anxiety, you got stress, you got all kind of things.
And the stress increased because your husband wants
to sell the land.
Why don't you want him to sell the land?
I said, no. I said, suppose I wasn't a wife.
And this wife is making sure that her spouse does not sell the property. The husband has title for the land, but in November 16, 2017, Bilal successfully managed to put a caution on the land in question. So did the would-be buyer 6 days later. According to Bilal, the caution still remains active.
Mister, Belize society changed. Plenty neighborhood in this country got gun play. I don't want anybody to shoot me. I don't want to walk and they shoot me because plenty people cross fire, then get shot, then dead. Some of them crippled.
What if I tell you that because he has the title to this land that he has the right to sell it if he wants?
No. Me the wife. When I'm the man go up here, me sacrifice. When I'm the man go mud, me put in so. If you cannot sacrifice one person, you shouldn't enjoy the sweetness. I sacrifice as a wife.
Do you know if the caution still
stand? Because he called me this morning, knock on the door, hear me, want to get pioneer. No. That's for God. You beg God for forgiveness and you do the correct thing.
So he can't sell it?
No, he said to me, maybe I'll take up the caution. I said, no, take up the caution, make him sell the land. No, I want to stand firm with my God. No.
You two can share the money.
I don't want no money. Money? Evil money? The Bible say? The Bible say? The love of money is the root of all evil. I don't want no money. I want to live humble with my God.
And now Bilal says that moves are being made to sell the land right under her nose. But your fear now is that he might sell it.
No, man. No. Me no own no land. Me no own my life.
What are your attorneys saying?
My attorney said to leave him alone, don't bother him because the caution is still there. My daughter want to build a house here. This is a family, it's a marital property.
Reporting for News 5, Hippolyta Novello.
Over the Christmas holidays, business owners in San Pedro, proprietors of bars and nightclubs were granted extensions to keep their establishments open beyond midnight. Those extensions, in some cases, were granted while the San Pedro Town Council was closed for business. Chairman Eden Salazar of the San Pedro Liquor Licensing Board authorized a number of those extensions on documents that did not bear the Town Council's letterhead or stamp. The issue raised several concerns within the business community, leading to speculations about the validity of, as well as the collection of monies for those extensions. Earlier today, News 5 reached out to Salazar, who explained that while in fact extensions were granted outside the Town Council's working hours, arrangements were made for payments to be collected when the offices reopened for business after New Year's Day. According to Salazar, the town board was fully aware of the situation and had the approval of Mayor Daniel Guerrero. The UDP National Convention is exactly 1 month away from today, on February 9th. And the machinery is in full steam for those persons contesting a spot on the party's executive. But two candidates, namely Senator Dr. Carla Barnett and Clifford Peters, who were running for party chairman and deputy chairman respectively, have pulled out of the race. As such, the battle for the chairmanship will be between Attorney General Michael Perafit and John Castillo, while former chairman Alberto August and Belmopan Mayor Khalid Belail will go head-to-head for the post as deputy chair of the UDP. Today when News 5 had a one-on-one with Minister Bev Williams, who is also in the running for second deputy leader, she says she is in it to win it.
Minister Bev is right in it to win it, right? And there's no backing out. I don't know why or what happened. You'd have to ask them. I know one person cited for it was a personal decision. That's all I know. I am in my constituency. I'm worried about my constituency, and I'm working hard towards February 9th. Most people know that I've been a public officer for some 38 years. I've worked in the public service, and the very day I entered politics, my speech was always the same. My information to the people I visit. I've been a public officer. I'm very experienced. I'm trained. I know what to do. I know I have the connects in Belmopan. I know where to go get it. So just help me to be of service to you. That's all I've been all my life, a public servant for 38 years.
572 delegates will be voting on February 9th. So how confident is Minister Bev Williams that she will be able to take out senior Tourism Minister Manuel Heredia Jr., who has put in his bid for the second deputy leader on the executive?
Some 572 persons, I believe, will be doing that. And each person who's in there as a candidate is talking to the delegates and trying to convince the reason why you should vote for me and what contribution I could give to the party, to the country by extension, right? So we're right in it, as I said, on the ground, and I am confident that I can win.
Now, it is no secret that Belize Rural Central Area Rep Beverly Williams is supporting John Saldivar in his leadership bid. In fact, in his launch back in early November 2019, the National Security Minister boasted the support from 21 area reps and standard bearers. Today, Minister Williams maintained that Saldivar is the right man for the job.
I think that John is the right man for the job, but we're stretching this. It's not a public issue, it's a party issue. I believe John is the right man. I was with John in 2015. I am with John. It remains the same. And I think as a team, the synergies are there for us to build on what is already there, the structures and policies of the party, and then to look at the wider issues in government and to share those and of course consult with the public in looking forward at policy and how we build on what great legacy the Honorable Dean Oliver Barrow has left for us.
There was overwhelming public outrage when Jamoke Castro issued violent, threatening comments on his Facebook page against Pastor Louis Wade and his wife, Shasta of Plus TV. Castro is the son of Minister Edmund Castro and is employed by the government. Word to News 5 is that the public service has issued a letter stating that he has breached the code of conduct of the public service. He is to provide an explanation letter later this month. Jamoke Castro has been placed on administrative leave from the Belize Tax Service, the department with which he is employed. As to any action by the police, the Compol has said that he's still looking for a way to prosecute. After the break, no arrests yet in the murder of 16-year-old Samantha Connerkey.
It looked like only big time UDP for eat. This one
On Monday, we reported on the first murder of this year. 16-year-old Samantha Connerty was gunned down outside a house in Belize City where she had spent the Christmas holidays. The minor was on her phone when a gunman opened fire last Friday night. Today, police told the media that they have questioned several persons, but haven't been able to make an arrest so far. Here's more from Superintendent Alejandro Cowo.
There have been a number of persons detained. They have been interviewed and they have been released because of not sufficient evidence to charge anyone so far.
Have you guys been able to determine the motive of that specific murder? Do we know why she was killed?
No, that is something that we are trying to work with family members and other neighbors in the area, but we have not definitely get an exact motive as to what might have led to her death.
Did she have maybe a boyfriend, a partner, and is he a part of the investigation?
Well, we have spoken to her mother and to other friends, and the information we had received that yes, that probably she might have a boyfriend, but I don't believe that he has been in custody as yet.
Are we looking at maybe there's a connection between her killing and maybe anything from his background?
Well, that is something that we are looking at, and as I mentioned, the investigation has led to many persons being detained and released, and we still have other persons that we are seeking at this moment.
A minor narrowly escaped from a storm of bullets on Monday. A gunman fired off several shots at the 16-year-old's direction towards his grandmother's residence in the Jane Usher Boulevard area of Belize City. The gunman, Giovanni Lambe, has since been arraigned on a charge of aggravated assault. When he appeared in court on Wednesday, he pleaded guilty to the attempted shooting. CIB's Superintendent Alejandro Cowo shared details with the press.
Yes, he was charged, I think, yesterday for the shooting of a minor at the Jane Usher area. And I believe that he went to court yesterday and he pleaded guilty to that charge.
Has the weapon that he used been found?
No.
Is there a reason why he fired those shots at that particular home?
Well, he did not mention any reason, but we have established that there's a ongoing dispute in that neighborhood between some of the people that live right in that vicinity, and I believe that was the motive there.
Lambe was fined $2,000 and given until the end of April to pay the fine, and if he fails to do so, he will be sent to prison for 2 years. If you've been around the city in the past couple days, you would have seen a number of stop and searches being carried out by the police. Today, Superintendent Alejandro Cowo asked for the public's cooperation, as he says these efforts are helping to keep residents safe and reduce the number of crimes being committed. He pointed out that these measures may be responsible for the reduced criminal activities in the city in the last few days.
Well, you have seen police presence on many of the streets in Belize City. I thank and I applaud the hard work that they are doing. They are constantly stopping and searching several persons in every part of the city. This has shown that what the police has implemented is working, and it will continue to work. I know that persons might be annoyed because they have been stopped and searched at some point in time, but that is what is conducting, or that is what is taking us to the city being calm at this moment. The work that the police is performing, they are doing very well at this time.
When we come back, if you are a music enthusiast or a sports aficionado, listen up for 2 events. The Amadea Basketball League is hosting a basketball cup featuring local teams as well as teams from neighboring Mexico. The event kicks off on Friday night and will continue through to Sunday for the finals. President of the Muslim community, Naveed Mangla, shares the details of the event.
This weekend we have something called the Amadea Basketball Cup, and this is the first time that we're doing this. We have 25 to 30 teams that are coming from all over the country, plus Mexico, and it ranges in different categories, age-wise distributed. We have kids that are U13, 17, 15, 19, and also have a men's open category also, and then we have girls category. We use 17 and 15 this time. Also, we have teams coming from Chetumal and Cancun that will be part of this. So the whole objective of this is to unite the youth in healthy competition, and we're requesting anybody that's interested in coming and enjoying competition from all over the country, that they can come to Swift Hall starting from tonight at 6 p.m. The official opening of this cup will be tomorrow on Friday at 9 p.m. in Swift Hall, and the league will be running at 3 venues, which will be the Swift Hall, the Hub, which is a new gymnasium that has just opened, and also at the Bird's Isle. And finally on Sunday will be the finals lined up starting at 9 a.m. That will be happening at the Civic. So those kids that want to experience Civic and have not been there, they can come, because all of our venues and all of our games will be free of charge.
The league will be awarding trophies and medals at the Civic Center following the finals on Sunday. If you have a team interested in participating, you are asked to get in touch with the Amadea Basketball League via Facebook. 11 performers will host an hour-and-a-half show inside the Bliss tonight and another show inside the Mexican Institute on Friday night. The shows, which are being put on by Belize Virtuosi and the Belize Academy for Performing Arts in collaboration with Niche and other partners, will pay tribute to famed Austrian musician Ludwig van Beethoven. The concert series is led by a group of classical musicians from Austria. Visiting musicians on string instruments will lead the concert, but the showcase will also feature local acts. Here's more from the Austrian musician.
We are presenting another concert after we had last year the concert, the official opening of the Belize Virtuosi. Tonight we came with more teachers from abroad, with teachers from Austria, Mexico and the United States, to bring the best music from Austria and Belize. Because there's the anniversary of a famous composer from Austria, from Ludwig van Beethoven, we will highlight this with a special piece which he wrote long time ago, and we will also have the music from here being interpreted by the classical string instruments, and there's going to be sung a lot, and we will also have featured the steel drum tonight. I would say, in first instance, classical music means today to play everything unplugged with the natural instrument, without any amplification or with a pre-recording. It's just the way, like you see this cello, it's just a piece of wood and there are some strings on it and I play with the bow. And with this you can produce a lot of music. That's what's the classical music standing for. I found a lot of traditional instruments during my 2 years here in Belize. Drum instrument, flutes, there is so much, so we all want to preserve also this here in Belize.
The free show tonight kicked off at 6 at the Bliss. On Friday, you can catch the concert again at the same time, but at the Mexican Institute. Coming up after the break, if you're stressed out, a visit to a therapist is a practical way to reduce your anxieties. If you find it difficult to eat healthily, you'd seek the advice of a nutritionist. If you've been exercising but not achieving the results you want, you'd probably find a trainer. If you feel sick and want to feel better, you'd visit your doctor. Similarly, if you have an overwhelming problem in your life that stresses or frustrates you, there are professionals you can seek as well: mental health therapists or counselors. There are many advantages to seeing a therapist, and in tonight's Healthy Living, we learn 3 main benefits.
Since 2013, when I started, therapy, counseling, psychology, mental health has grown tremendously, by leaps and bounds, I would say.
Amy Jex is one of a small group of mental health professionals in Belize. She says that in the past few years, she's seen people of all walks of life coming to her office for therapy. The most common reasons people seek her assistance is for anxiety, depression, and stress. However, these are not the only reasons people see therapists. It can also be a tool for better emotional wellness with a multitude of benefits.
It's similar to the nutritionist. You go, you learn, and you apply it to the rest of your life. And that's what therapy is like. It's a funny thing because when we look at these benefits, they are overarching and they are the major benefits from counseling. They're the things that everyone takes away. So when we look at these things, we're looking at things that benefit someone who has a diagnosis of psychosis and needs medication, or someone who has some stress coping with their boss at work and would normally not say, oh, I need therapy for this.
One of the main benefits of talking to a therapist is having a sounding board.
Sometimes you just need to talk things out loud. You go in your head and you walk down a path, and when you realize you're so far from where you thought you were, having a sounding board really helps you to stay on track to where you want to be. So when people come into therapy, sometimes they come and they will just be cathartic. They will just spill all their guts out and say everything, and then they never go back to therapy until they get overwhelmed again. You know, it's like the bottle that's shaken and they're just taking the pressure off.
But it's more than just talking to someone. Another benefit is the opportunity for an unbiased opinion in whatever you may be grappling with.
Very often people will come because they say, I don't want to talk to my aunt. I don't want to talk to my cousins. I don't want to burden my children. I have no one else to talk to. So they come to therapy for an unbiased listener. We often realize that talking helps us. It helps free our mind. It helps unburden our soul. It really does help.
The third benefit is developing a better understanding of yourself and your emotions.
But when you talk to someone who loves therapy, they will tell you, the reason I like therapy is because I get to understand myself a lot more. And it's easier to be the person you used to be. It's a lot harder to be the person you want to be. So every day as you get to know yourself, you learn to be easier on yourself. You learn to be kinder to yourself. And the more you understand yourself, you learn to say, you know what? When I was bullied in primary school, I learned to not connect with my emotions. So I learned to shut myself off. And so now in my marriage, my husband or my wife keeps telling me I'm cold. And, you know, it comes from the fact that when I was a kid, I didn't allow people to get close to me. Yeah. And so that is one of the things that we do. We go back to figure out why you do the things you do. You get to learn more about yourself, and you get to apply your coping in a way where it makes more sense to you.
Even as Belizeans become more open to counseling, there's still some common misconceptions. One common one is that they expect to be given advice or told what to do.
I remember a couple came to me saying, we will listen and do whatever you have to tell us. And I was thrown for a loop because my job, again, is to be a sounding board. My job is to help you to get where you want to be. It's not to tell you, you need to do this or you need to do that.
Another is that therapy is a long-term process. While the therapist treats each case individually, and some will indeed require multiple sessions, some may benefit from just one.
Even if it's just one session, you take away from it, and just like with the nutritionist, you keep applying, you keep learning. So sometimes I have people who come to see me once every 2 years or once every 3 years, and they come back and they say, you know, that first session, I've been using those tools throughout, but now I need something a little bit different.
And lastly, you may assume that it may be too costly. But in Belize, you can see a private practitioner for roughly $60 to $100 a session. But there are free counseling services available countrywide at public clinics and hospitals. And that's the news. Don't forget that tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Marlene Cuellar. Thanks for joining us, and from all of us here at News 5, good night.